Welcome to Cooking with the Twins. We are from India, way down south, city called Chennai. This is my twin brother Stan, and I'm Ollie. And this little guy over here is a coconut man. And he's a hero for today's dish. Any guesses? Let's give them a hint, Stan. It's sweet, it's coconutty, with a hint of cashew nut and cardamom mixed in there. And it just melts in your mouth. Any guesses yet? Yes, this is coconut sweet. It's an all-time Anglo favorite made during Christmas time. So come on, watch the video and my wife Dimple will teach you how to make coconut sweet. Over to you, Dims.
Hi everyone, this is Dimple back here again to make another one of our favorite Christmas delicacies called coconut sweet. So for that we need 3 cups of grated coconut. Check the link in the description on how we grate coconut at home. And 2.5 cups of sugar. Now this is the measurement cup that I'm using. It really doesn't matter whatever cup you use. Just make sure it's 3 cups of grated coconut and 2.5 cups of sugar. So let's set that aside and I'll tell you the next set of ingredients. So here we have 3 cardamoms that I've roughly crushed. And that I crush it so that it brings out the lovely flavors in the coconut sweet. 2 to 3 drops of food coloring. Now that is optional. I like to use green color as it keeps with the Christmas theme. And this is food grade coloring that I'm using. And this here is dalda. Dalda is just basically hydrogenated vegetable oil. And I use it as a substitute for cow's ghee. Now I don't like to use cow's ghee in my sweet as it makes it too rich because we'll be using sugar and cashew nut powder in our sweet. So using dalda just makes it just right to eat. And dalda is also equivalent to margarine. So if you can't get your hands on dalda, you can always use margarine in your sweet. Half a cup of water. Use that same measuring cup that we use to measure out the coconut and the sugar. 50 grams of cashew nut powder. Now I was not able to get cashew nut powder from the store, so I just got 50 grams of raw unsalted cashew nuts and just ground them up in my blender. So that's it for the ingredients. Let's move on to the cooking. Alright, let's start cooking. So I have my pan ready. It's called a kada in India, by the way. So let's turn on the stove. Yes, let's wait for it to turn hot. Now while the pan's turning hot, I have all my ingredients ready. But before we put all this into the pan, let me tell you that we need to keep a tray ready with butter paper. But if you can't get your hands on butter paper, you can just grease the tray with any vegetable oil or dalda so that the sweet does not stick to the tray. And also make sure you grease your knife so that when you cut into the sweet, it does not stick onto the knife. So let's set this aside and start cooking. The pan is nice and hot now. Let's empty our coconut, the sugar, and half a cup of water and keep stirring all this. You need to keep stirring till all the sugar melts and gets incorporated with the grated coconut. It will start to get a little watery once the sugar starts to melt. Keep stirring. We should not stop even for a little while or else the sugar will get caught to the bottom of the pan and start crystallizing. Just keep stirring. Let me tell you right here that at the end of the cooking process, you will definitely need an extra pair of hands. So the sugar is starting to melt. Now this is another sweet which I learned from my mom and dad. Actually, my dad was a very good cook. Rest in peace, Dad. I'm sure he's looking down on me with a proud smile on his face. Now, if you see any brown bits of coconut, it happens sometimes when you grind it up. You get all these little brown chunks. Just remove them. You don't need chunky bits in your coconut sweet. Yep. Now the sugar has melted, as you can see. Now it's time to add in the cashew nut powder and the cardamoms. Give it a good mix. The cashews and the cardamoms are going to give a lovely flavor to this coconut sweet. And at this point, just add in 1 or 2 drops of food coloring. You don't want it to be too dark. Let's stir this. Now I think it's a little light. So I'm going to add in just a few more drops to get the perfect color that I need. Yes, now it's become a lovely pale green color. Keep stirring continuously while doing all this though. Do not stop stirring. Now, whenever I make sweets during Christmas time, it takes me back to my childhood days when mom and dad were preparing sweets. My brother, sister, and myself would be waiting so impatiently to get our hands on the bowl and the spoon just to lick it clean. And sometimes when we were kids, we used to feel that that used to taste better than the actual sweet. Now, while stirring, make sure you scrape out all the stuff from the sides of the pan. You don't want to have any part unattended. Just don't keep stirring in the center. We need to scrape out all the parts from the side of the pan also, because once that gets burnt, it's going to give a very bitter taste to your sweet. So, all right, it's starting to thicken, as you can see. Now, Stan, can you just put in 2 teaspoons of dalda, please? Yes, that's okay. That's enough. So, just keep stirring this about. Now, can you see how it's leaving the side of the pan? Yes, the dalda helps in that and also gives it a nice glossy look. Give it a stir. Now, there's a trick to know when it's ready to take off the stove. It's called the water test. Now, I have here a bowl of water, and that is room temperature water. So, what we do is just take a little bit of the coconut sweet and put it into the water. And as you can see, it's not disintegrating. You are able to form it into a ball. And yes, I think it just needs maybe another 5 minutes and then it's ready to take off the stove. Now, yes, it's been 5 minutes. Stanley, can you add another teaspoon of dalda, please? Just a teaspoon will do, just for that last final gloss. Yes, let's try the water test again. Take a little sweet and put it into the bowl. Yep, this is done. Can you see it's forming into a nice ball? So now turn off the stove. And Stan, can you just empty this onto the tray which is greased, please? Yes. Now I'll just spread it out. And make sure you spread it out evenly while it's still hot. That's why we need an extra pair of hands. Yep, that's it. Keep patting it down so that it spreads evenly. Okay, now while it's still warm, you need to cut this, because once you wait for it to cool fully, it's just going to break up. Cut this into straight lines, mind you. The tray can get hot at this point, so be careful. Cut it into straight lines, then turn the tray and cut it again. Cut it in any shape that you desire, because at the end of the day, shapes don't matter. And after eating all these Christmas sweets, I am not going to be in a proper shape anyway. So, as you can see, it's turning hard. You need to do it quite fast. Yes. So, it's all cut. Now, just let's wait for this to cool and then we can remove it from the butter paper. Okay. I think the coconut sweet has cooled up a bit. Let's test it. And yes, it's coming out from the paper. And you can see all those lovely diamond shapes. Take it out and put it onto another plate. And there you have it, all done. Now this is perfect. A plate of yumminess. Your coconut sweet is ready. You can store it in an airtight container and it should last you for about 10 to 15 days. And make sure when you open up your jar to take out your sweets, make sure your hands are dry. Do not put wet hands or a wet spoon into the jar, as it could get bad. I'm sure you like this video. It's really very easy to prepare. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel for more yummy recipes coming your way. This is Dimple signing off.